Pacific Ocean, where currents collide, predators think, giants migrate, and the future of the living sea is being decided in real time. The Pacific is not simply the largest ocean on Earth. It is one of the largest living systems the planet has ever sustained. Spanning around 64 million square miles and covering nearly 1/3 of Earth's surface, it is so vast that scale begins to lose its meaning. Seen from a beach, the Pacific can look serene, a line of silver light under the sky. But that calm surface conceals a world of staggering depth, layered motion, and relentless biological struggle. This is an ocean where distance shapes life. Storms travel across it for days. Currents carve invisible highways through it. Entire species spend their lives crossing spaces so large that human maps begin to feel small. And beneath all of that lies a vertical world, just as dramatic as the horizontal one. The Pacific does not only stretch outward, it plunges downward into darkness, pressure, and habitats that feel almost beyond imagination. The clearest symbol of that depth is the Mariana Trench, dropping to nearly 36,000 feet, more than 10,000 meters. If Mount Everest were lowered into that trench, its summit would still vanish beneath more than a mile of water. That image matters because it resets human perspective. It reminds us that the Pacific is not background. It is a realm of scale so extreme that even the highest mountain on land would disappear inside it. That is why this ocean must be approached as a frontier, not a view. It is a living world ruled by currents, hunger, instinct, intelligence, and pressure. It contains bright shallows, coral cities, cold feeding grounds, abyssal darkness, and the largest migrations on Earth. Nothing about it is empty. Nothing about it is simple. The Pacific is a system of systems, and every part of it is alive with consequence. Off the coast of Japan, two great rivers of the ocean meet. One arrives warm, swift, and tropical. The other descends cold from the Bering and Okhotsk seas, carrying dense water and enormous loads of nutrients. These currents are Kuroshio and Oyashio, and where they collide, the sea performs one of its quiet miracles. The warm current brings speed, heat, and connection to southern waters. The cold current brings fertility. It carries millions of tons of plankton and nutrient-rich water capable of lifting deep productivity toward the surface. When these two ocean highways meet, the sea changes character. Nutrients rise. Plankton blooms. Small fish gather. Then larger fish arrive. Then predators follow. What looks like open water becomes one of the richest feeding grounds on the planet. This is where the Pacific teaches one of its deepest truths. Every visible drama in the ocean begins with something invisible. Before sharks break the surface, before whales lunge through schools of fish, before seabirds circle and dive, there is current, temperature, and chemistry. The great struggle for survival is already being written by moving water. The collision of Kuroshio and Oyashio is not loud. It does not look like a storm front crashing into land. But biologically, it is explosive. It creates the abundance that feeds silver clouds of fish and draws in the hunters that depend on them. In this meeting zone, the Pacific reveals that life at its grandest scale often begins with a change in flow, a shift in temperature, a hidden lifting of nutrients from the dark below. Far from the trench and the cold current boundary, another Pacific world unfolds in light. Around Okinawa, coral reefs rise like underwater cities, dense, colourful, crowded, and alive at every level. Although coral reefs cover less than 1% of the seafloor, they support more than 25% of all marine species. Few numbers reveal the logic of life more clearly than that. In the Pacific, a small area can sustain an entire civilization of interactions. The reef is not just beautiful, it is organized. It has neighborhoods, shelters, hunting lanes, cleaning stations, and defensive alliances. Clownfish drift among the venomous arms of sea anemones, protected by a special layer of mucus. What would kill another fish becomes a fortress for them. In return, clownfish clean parasites and even lure prey close to the anemone with their color and movement. This is not accident. It is a partnership refined by time. Even the social life of clownfish reveals the precision of reef survival. All are born male. When the single breeding female dies, the dominant male changes sex, its hormonal balance shifting until testes become ovaries. The group does not pause. The family structure reorganizes itself. Survival continues. In the reef, adaptation is not dramatic in appearance, but exact in function. Everywhere around Okinawa, the same principle repeats. Tiny spaces support intense complexity. Every crack shelters life. Every ledge becomes territory. Every color may be warning, disguise, invitation, or command. The reef is a city that never sleeps, and like every city, it survives through interdependence. In the Pacific, power does not come in one form. Sometimes it comes as muscle refined over immense evolutionary time. Sometimes it comes as intelligence shared across a family line. That is why the meeting of the great white shark and the orca feels so compelling. They represent two very different paths to dominance. The great white is one of the most perfected predators in the sea. Its lineage reaches back around 400 million years, older than the age of dinosaurs. It carries a body built for explosive force. Warm-blooded physiology allows its muscles and nervous system to remain efficient in cold water. With the ampullae of Lorenzini, it can detect faint electrical signals, even the heartbeat of prey hidden under sand. And when it attacks from below in a breaching strike around 40 kilometers per hour, it turns surprise into a weapon. The orca rules differently. It is not merely strong, it is strategic. Pods carry distinct dialects, learned hunting techniques, and forms of cooperation no solitary predator can match. Orcas have been observed creating waves to wash seals from ice, dividing into teams and targeting the weak points of great white sharks to leave them motionless before taking the liver. A great white may weigh more than 2 tons. An orca may reach 10 tons and move at roughly 53 to 56 kilometers per hour. But the deeper difference is not numerical. It is cultural. One path to dominance is individual perfection. The other is inherited intelligence. This is one of the Pacific's clearest lessons. The ocean does not crown a single model of power. It rewards precision, yes, but also memory, coordination, and learning. The fight for control is not just tooth against tooth. It is instinct against collective strategy. The Pacific is large enough to support the largest migrations and the largest animals on Earth. Blue whales pass through it like moving continents of muscle and sound. Humpbacks cross whole oceanic provinces, with songs that change over time. Their journeys remind us that the Pacific is not just a place where life exists. It is a place where life moves on an epic scale. A blue whale is the largest animal ever known to live, larger than any dinosaur, heavier than any land mammal could ever become. Yet this giant is sustained by krill, tiny drifting creatures that link the smallest forms of abundance to the largest body in Earth's history. The whale's existence is a perfect paradox, immensity rooted in delicacy. A system this large still begins with tiny life at the base. Humpback whales add another kind of grandeur. They are singers, travellers, engineers of coordinated hunting. Their bubble net feeding creates traps made of air, turning open water into a temporary prison for fish. Then they rise together through the centre. In moments like that, the Pacific feels choreographed, not by human planning, but by instinct refined into collective precision. The sperm whale belongs to a different realm of giant life. It dives into darkness and hunts where the pressure rises and sunlight vanishes. Inside its enormous head, the spermaceti organ helps power the strongest natural sonar on Earth, reaching around 236 decibels. Scars on its body are reminders that even giants bleed in the deep. Below the bright Pacific of reefs and migrating surface life is another Pacific where sound becomes the weapon that replaces sight. The Pacific is full of creatures that seem to answer survival with invention. The hammerhead widens its own sensory horizon through the strange shape of its head, spreading electroreceptive organs across a broader plane so that prey hidden in sand become visible through electricity rather than sight. The tiger shark moves through the sea with a different logic. Opportunistic, broad in diet, a scavenger and hunter whose role helps clear weakened life from the system. Whale sharks overturn the expectation that size must mean aggression. The largest fish on Earth moves slowly through bright water, filtering tiny organisms from the sea. Power, in this case, exists without violence. Mola Mola drifts like a living slab of marine strangeness. And in colder waters, walruses depend on sea ice for rest and safety. When the ice retreats, tens of thousands can be forced together onto land, where panic and stampede become deadly. Sea turtles carry the memory of birth beaches across decades. They return through natal fidelity, guided by a sense of place that makes the ocean feel less random and more remembered than we often imagine. But rising sand temperatures begin to distort the balance of sex in hatchlings. Here again, the Pacific shows how climate pressure enters the lives of animals, not only through habitat, but through reproduction itself. No single creature explains the Pacific, but taken together, these animals reveal its genius. It is an ocean that rewards diversity of strategy, speed, camouflage, filtering, migration, electricity, sound, loyalty, and timing. The Pacific does not create one perfect body. It creates many answers to many pressures. Below about 200 meters, sunlight begins to vanish. Farther down, day ceases to matter at all. The Pacific changes character there. The familiar blue world fades into cold, pressure, and darkness so complete that life must either make its own light or abandon light almost entirely. Bioluminescence becomes one of the defining languages of this realm. Animals glow to hunt, to hide, to signal, to confuse. Light is no longer borrowed from the sun. It is manufactured by the living body itself. What feels impossible in shallow water becomes ordinary here. The deep Pacific is full of lures, flashes, ghostly outlines, and sudden glows in a black column of water. The shapes of life change too. Some bodies become transparent. Some eyes grow enormous. Others disappear. Gulper eels stretch their jaws beyond anything that seems proportionate, because food is too rare for elegance to matter. Strange forms do not exist in the deep Pacific for spectacle. They exist because scarcity and pressure reward extremes. And then there are the hydrothermal vents. Along the East Pacific Rise, a submerged volcanic chain more than 40,000 kilometers long, cracks in the seafloor release mineral-rich, superheated water. Around these black smokers, life thrives without sunlight. Bacteria use chemistry instead of photosynthesis. Strange shrimp and other specialized animals cluster around vent plumes as if the earth itself were feeding them from below. This is one of the most radical truths the ocean can reveal. Not all life depends on the sun in the same way. In the Pacific abyss, chemistry can replace daylight as the foundation of a living system. It is a discovery that makes the ocean feel not just mysterious, but revolutionary. Even now, much of the Pacific remains only partly understood. More than 80% of the seafloor has not been mapped in fine detail. That fact alone should humble any age that believes itself technologically complete. We know the ocean is there. We know it shapes weather, carries food, stores heat, and holds the deepest trenches on the planet. But knowing that it exists is not the same as knowing it fully. This is why the Pacific still generates mystery. Sounds like the bloop, recorded in 1997 and detected across more than 5,000 kilometers, captured public imagination not only because they were strange, but because they exposed a larger truth. The ocean can reach our instruments before it reaches our understanding. Julia, upsweep, remote sonar reflections. Point Nemo, the most inaccessible point in the ocean, so distant from land that it became a graveyard for falling spacecraft. These details endure because they preserve the feeling that the Pacific is still unfinished in human knowledge. The responsible way to tell this part of the story is not through conspiracy, but through scale. The ocean remains large enough for uncertainty. There are still places where data arrives first and meaning arrives later. Mystery here is not fantasy. It is the shadow cast by incomplete mapping, incomplete sampling, and incomplete contact with the largest oceanic body on Earth. The Pacific can look too large to harm. That illusion is one of the most dangerous lies modern civilization tells itself. Human pressure is already altering the ocean at every visible level, and many invisible ones. Plastic is now entering the Pacific at catastrophic scale. Between 19 and 23 million tons of plastic reach the sea each year, roughly 2,000 garbage trucks every day. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch has become a symbol of that intrusion, but the real crisis is finer and more intimate. Plastic breaks into microplastic. Larval fish mistake it for plankton. Toxins move into the very roots of the food chain. At the same time, excess carbon dioxide is heating the ocean and driving acidification. Coral bleaching spreads through reef systems. The shells of small organisms weaken. The skeletal foundations of coral communities erode. Overfishing removes top predators and destabilizes relationships built over immense spans of time. In the Pacific, damage does not stay local for long. Once one link breaks, stress travels outward through the system. This is where the whole documentary changes tone. Everything that seemed beautifully adapted, clownfish, turtles, sharks, whales, deep-sea creatures, vent communities, now appears under pressure. Their strategies were shaped by nature. But the speed of human-driven change is testing whether those strategies can keep up. The Pacific is not only a living ocean, it is one of the great engines of the planet. Through El Niño and La Niña, it helps organize rainfall, drought, fisheries, storms, and seasonal patterns across the world. What happens in this basin does not stay in this basin. It moves through atmosphere and ocean into the daily future of entire continents. And sometimes the Pacific reveals that planetary power through violence. Super typhoons with winds above 300 kilometers per hour can reshape coasts and overwhelm cities. Heat stored in tropical waters becomes force in the air. A basin of life becomes a basin of atmospheric energy. This is the final widening of the documentary's scale. The Pacific is not simply where creatures hunt and migrate. It is where Earth regulates itself. Currents, weather, biology and climate all meet here. That is why the future of the Pacific cannot be treated as a niche environmental issue. It is part of the future of the whole planet. Conservation in the Pacific cannot remain abstract. Marine protected areas matter because they give food webs time to recover. Coral restoration matters because reefs are nurseries, shields, and cities for life. Reducing single-use plastic matters because waste now enters the ocean as particles small enough to be eaten by the creatures at the very bottom of the chain. Cutting carbon emissions matters because warming and acidification are no longer distant scenarios. They are already changing the chemistry and behaviour of the sea. The Pacific does not need symbolic admiration. It needs intelligent restraint. It needs governance strong enough to defend habitats, fisheries managed with ecological reality rather than short-term appetite, and a global willingness to stop treating the ocean as a limitless surface that can absorb every consequence of life on land. And that returns us to the deepest meaning of this ocean. The Pacific does not belong to the strongest creature in it. It belongs, if it belongs to anything at all, to the delicate balance between adaptation and restraint. Orcas endure through intelligence. Coral systems endure through interdependence. Turtles endure through memory. Deep sea life endures by reinventing the body itself. Every layer of the Pacific teaches the same lesson. Survival belongs to those that can live within the logic of the system that holds them. Humanity has entered that lesson late and clumsily. We are the first species capable of studying the Pacific at planetary scale, and also the first species capable of disrupting it at planetary scale. That makes this ocean more than a frontier. It makes it a test. Whether the Pacific remains a living orchestra of currents, predators, giants, reefs, abyssal light, and migrating worlds may depend not on what lies hidden below, but on what humans choose to do above it in the years ahead. The Pacific is still telling its story in real time. Every bloom of plankton, every whale call, every broken reef, every drifting net, every warming season, and every mapped trench adds another line to that story. To watch it closely is to realize that the largest ocean on Earth is not a remote backdrop to human history. It is one of the active conditions of that history itself.